Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. This is Matt, and we're here to talk about day two of the Miami Dolphins 2024 draft. And with the 55th overall pick, the Dolphins drafted Patrick Paul from the University of Houston. Now, Patrick Paul is a really big man. Patrick Paul is 6'7" and a half, 331 pounds, and he has the longest wingspan in the draft. He has such incredibly long arms that he uses that to really stave off pass rushers from getting to his quarterback. Patrick Paul is the offensive lineman that I'm sure most Dolphin fans and some of the media journalists as well have, anticipated that the Dolphins would select with either the first or the second round pick. The Dolphins have finally added to a boost to their offensive line. And Patrick Paul is such a big guy that, it's incredible his size. He has elite size for the position. Now, while he has long arms, he does have long legs, which can be a bit of a problem for some offensive tackles, especially when it comes to bending and getting low in order to keep guys from ducking under them and turning the corner. Also, long legs can affect you from being able to cut off certain defenders in the running game. So he has his work cut out for him. But initially, just looking at the prospect himself and the elite size that he has, the long wingspan, the long arms to keep defenders off of him, he has an opportunity to be a starting left tackle in the NFL. And for the Dolphins, who's able to pick him up in the second round, that's incredible value. So I'm optimistic about this pick. I think that especially given the uncertainty about Teron Armstead's future, that Patrick Paul can be a contributor, if not now, certainly into the future if Teron Armstead actually decides to retire. Kendall Lamb said for sure this is his last year in the NFL. And Kendall Lamb has been an incredible asset for the Dolphins. In the last season alone, Kendall Lamb was able to fill in as a swing tackle on both the left and the right sides of the offensive line, and that made him a really valuable asset. For the Dolphins to be able to get him back this season for the price that they're paying him is really very fortunate for the team. And it's possible that if Patrick Paul isn't able to earn a starting position, at the very least, he can be depth at the tackle position, which is surely needed in the NFL. Now, Patrick Paul, while he is incredibly talented, an incredibly large man, there may be a possibility that he can play left tackle in the NFL. Now, we saw this with the Dolphins in the past where the Dolphins drafted Laremy Tunsil, even though they had Brandon Albert as their left tackle. Brandon Albert had been, kind of injury plagued in his last couple of seasons, and the Dolphins figured they needed a left tackle for the future. Laremy Tunsil, with the whole gas mask bong thing, video that surfaced or image that first surfaced during the draft, caused him to fall to a place where the Dolphins couldn't pass up on him. And as a result, they selected him even though they had a left tackle in place, but they were able to put him at the left guard position, which allowed him to get playing time right away as he transitioned into being a left tackle for the Miami Dolphins. Now, that's a similar path that Patrick Paul may be able to entertain. Because of his height, because of his long legs, he may not have the kind of anchor that he would need to be a guard in the NFL. But I'm sure with the Dolphins, they like to, and most teams also like to mix and match their offensive linemen, see how much position versatility they can get from those linemen, and then, see where he fits in. If he fits in as a left guard and he can compete for a spot there with Isaiah Wynn and Liam Eichenberg, then great. If not, then they have a insurance policy in the event that anything may happen to Teron Armstead. So the Dolphins really have done a good job of getting an elite prospect at the left tackle position. Now, he may not be a first round pick, he may not have a first round grade, but he does have elite measurables and elite skills and size that would, in a different draft, maybe push him up into the first round. I'm very pleased with this pick. I think that he has a lot of potential, a lot of upside. I don't think we've seen the best of him, but I do think that the Dolphins, especially in the case of Butch Barry, who I think is probably the most underrated offensive coach that the Dolphins have, underrated coach, period, just with what he was able to do with the offensive line last year. And even though I didn't have much expectations for Butch Barry coming into the season, he surely was able to quell any questions that I had regarding his ability to coach the offensive line. In addition to that, Butch Barry did a really good job of coaching up some of the other players who were kind of fringe starters, but got them playing at least at a level that they can function in Mike McDaniel's offense. And it's even possible that his coaching was responsible for helping Austin Jackson get a brand new contract. So Butch Barry to me is a guy that, I'm not sure if he had any influence on this pick. I'm not sure if it's just the front office and the scouting staff. But if he did have a hand in picking this guy, then I'm even more optimistic because Butch Barry has shown to be the kind of guy who can basically maximize the talent that he's given and coach them up so they could play the best of their abilities, even if they're not as talented as maybe some of their peers around the league. Also, it would be noteworthy to mention that the offensive line class in this draft is huge. I cannot remember having so many huge offensive linemen at the tackle position as there has been in this draft. I mean, most of these guys are 6'6", 6'7", 6'8". I mean, really large men, really big size, a lot of long arms. This is very important for the future of the NFL. As most of us know, the NFL has done as best as it can to try to protect the quarterback position. You can't really hit the quarterback above the shoulders. You can't hit quarterbacks below the waist. You can't hit quarterbacks inside the pocket. You can't body slam them to the ground. You have to take a body weight off them. So the NFL is trying their best to protect their quarterbacks, but it seems like the best way to protect the quarterback is actually from the offensive lineman in front of them. This group of prospects coming into this draft is probably some of the best that I can remember in terms of just size and strength and skills that I've seen in a very long time. So that bodes well for the NFL and also bodes well for the quarterbacks who are, star quarterbacks in the league, guys who've been banged up. As Dolphin fans, Tua Tagovailoa has had his issues with injuries. Joe Burrow's been hurt. Other quarterbacks around the league has been hurt. Lamar Jackson a couple of years ago, he's been hurt. And keeping these quarterbacks upright in the NFL is very important, not just to the fan experience, but also for the NFL's bottom line. And it's not really just quarterbacks. No one wants to see any position injured, to be honest with you, but quarterbacks in particular, because they have such an influence on the outcome of the games. You like to try to keep them healthy as best as you possibly can. It's interesting to note that Chris Greer in the first round drafted a pass rusher, and in the second round drafted a pass protector. So in consecutive selections in the 2024 draft, Chris Greer selected what most GMs and front office personnel would consider to be premium position players. And it kind of fits into the mantra of what Chris Greer has always done. In addition to that, it seems to reason that they went after the best players available, even though those positions were positions of need. It's great. It's helpful that the Dolphins were able to get guys that affect the game in the kind of way that those guys do. And hopefully those guys can come into the Dolphins facility and make an impact and a contribution right away. And I'll be back to explore who the Dolphins selected in day 3 of the 2024 draft. Thanks for watching.